Hello everyone, Drake Robinson here. Um, and I just gotta talk about this because it's been weighing heavy on my mind for quite a while now. And it's about the WWE. Now, I have been a fan of the WWE shoot, since I was 6 years old. I remember the first time I saw, uh, it was around when the ruthless aggression era really got to its peak, and the Attitude Era had just finished up. Of course, I went back since I was a huge fan. I went back and watched the old stuff, and man, was I just hooked? I was just drawn in. I was just it had this mystique around it. I was just so the biggest fan of the WWE. What was called WWF back at the time. Then they changed it to the WWE. But yeah, and I would see all my favorites: Triple H, Shawn Michaels, The Rock, Stone Cold. All these guys that had the Undertaker, all Kane, all these guys that had this legit sense of they could take anyone in a fight. Brock Lesnar, Batista. The list goes on. I mean, but these guys just had this mystique around. You were invested in everything that they did, all their storylines, all their. And there was a reason for that. You were so invested. There was a reason why you were so captivated, such a big fan. Even to go back further, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, like it was just such a different time. But wrestling nowadays, I stopped watching. I'll be honest, I stopped watching wrestling like around 2018, something like that, when things really started to slip down the rail. Um, down the hill like real fast. I immediately stopped watching, but um, yeah. But I would still see clips, that pop up on my feed, here and there, and I was just I'm so taken it back at how just bad things are. I of course we live in this modern era, this modern blue pillar era where everything is terrible. Same thing with Hollywood and movies and animated, you know, stuff. Pretty much everything nowadays is just awful, because of this modern blue pillar society we live in. Um, but it's just sad to see that I grew up with something so iconic, and now it's just, it's just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just so bad. Like wrestling nowadays just seems like one big giant podcast. Like there's no era mystique around anybody nowadays. It's just like everyone it's just I don't know how to explain it. It's just so different. Like of course the quality got amped up big time. There's more stuff. Streaming services of course is everywhere. So you got if you pay for this, you get that. And if you pay for that, you get this. And it's just so. And I think WWE is like 24/7 now on online or something like that. Like that's just so much. Back in the day, we just had 2 hours of Raw. Maybe Thursday or Friday, we had 2 hours of SmackDown, and that was. And maybe a live event here and there, but that was it. And a pay per view, but that was it. It wasn't constantly shoved down your throat. WWE nowadays just feels shoved down everyone's throats. With all this, marketing and well, yeah, marketing and just streaming platforms, streaming it. WWE Network, I thought was a thing. I was like, okay, they had the WWE app, the WWE Network. But they're not gonna go further than that. They can't. But they proved me wrong. And Yeah, like I was saying, there's no era mystique anymore with WWE wrestlers. Like I grew up wanting to be Triple H. I grew up wanting to be The Rock. I grew up wanting to be Stone Cold Steve Austin because these guys were legit. They looked legit. Their attitudes were legit. Their connection with the people was legit. Like even to this day, I grew up wanting that. Nowadays, if I were watching wrestling, I even at my young age, I wouldn't want to grow up and be these indie darlings that Triple H just brought in. Triple H, I'll get to him also in a second. He's I partly blame him for the reason because he brought in all these unrealistic indie darlings that people in the online these new fans of the WWE who did not grow up in the past. Because if you grew up in the past and watched the past stuff, you like you. How could you possibly want like anything today? Like I don't get that. But anyways, yeah. What was this? Yeah, nowadays you got guys like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I don't want to grow up and be either of those guys. They look like homeless guys that you see on the side of the road or in front of a convenience store begging people for spare change. Like that's what they both look like. Nothing unique about them. Nothing stands out about them. They look average. Like they look like the guy oh you sat next to on the commuter train. Like they literally they don't stick out at all. Like I wouldn't know who they were if I were to just walk by them in like a mall or something. I would know who Triple H was. I would know who The Undertaker was. I would know who Stone Cold was. There's no era of mystique. I also don't want to grow up and be Seth Rollins. Like I liked him in the Shield, but nowadays I don't know what he's got going on. He's like a feminine version of the Terminator is what he looks like nowadays. Like if the Terminator was or should can't come out today, he would not look like the hard edge guy he was back when times were more sane. He wouldn't look like that. He would absolutely look like Seth Rollins, or he would look like Batista nowadays, is what the Terminator would look like. All feminine and estrogen, and well, a second thought, considering he's married to Becky Lynch, who is the man, I assume also the way he dresses, she's the man in the relationship, so maybe it is appropriate for him to wear that attire. So I take back what I said about him. I don't want to be like him, but I take back what I say about him dressing that way. It's probably appropriate. But anyways, yeah. So and all the sponsors as well. I like now it's not unusual for WWE to plug just some brought to you by this. I remember Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross used to plug the sponsors, before a match. Okay, fine. But nowadays, you just have them plastered everywhere. Like, why am I seeing, like, Prime energy drinks, like, sponsor logos everywhere? Like, on the announce table, all around the ring, on the Titantron, or... Like, I don't drink Prime. I drink Monster like a real man, number one. Number two, like, it's just so corporatized, everything nowadays. It's just so, like, nothing is authentic anymore. Back in the day, you were allowed to be authentic as a pro wrestler. Nowadays, everything is just so scripted and just so, like, you can't get into any character. Like, I just feel bad for the modern wrestling fan who didn't grow up in the past like I did. You know, Why do you think the WWE, for the most part, why relies on nostalgia? Because they know nostalgia sells. For as much as they're trying to change everything, they know deep down in the back of their minds that, people from the past, for the most part, are going to get more recognition from the people in the present. Why do you think a guy like Bill Goldberg is still wrestling at age 60? What is he, 60 something years old now? Why do you think he's still wrestling modern day? Opposed to a guy who's, one of these indie darlings that they bring in. Because Goldberg is more legit, grew up in, and has more of a, more name power than anyone else they got in the roster currently, which also says a lot. Then, so why do you think they're doing that? Because they know that deep down, that's what's going to sell. No one else is going to sell. So, like, it's just, I don't know. And it's not going to change. It's only going to get worse. Say what you want about Vince McMahon. I know, people are going to say, well, he's this and that. Listen, if it wasn't for Vince McMahon, there would not be a WWE. I would go so far there wouldn't be a WWE today if not for Vince McMahon. If not for that man, WWE would not exist today. Period. Point blank. Like, and Triple H is only people got pretty much you know got the champagne pop bottles popping, and just when Triple H was announced to take over WWE. Well, has he done really that great of a job? I doubt it. Everything's so stale. John Cena's leaving for Hollywood, to wear to get butt naked and wear dresses on stage. So it's not like he's retiring and going to anything bigger and better. No, he's going to blue pill Hollywood, or he's selling his soul like Batista did. Look how Batista looks nowadays. And The Rock, there's a lot of talk about The Rock losing weight. Yeah, sooner or later he's gonna be looking just like Batista. But and so is John Cena. You can see the weight. Just I remember back in the day he was like big and muscular. Nowadays he's gonna be looking like a grandmother soon. Because that's what Hollywood does. Brings the powerful people and shrinks them down to size. Um, but yeah, that's my. But yeah, I had to get that off my chest because this is so sad to see a company that has so much potential, or has so much potential, just go down the crap hole. It's just so sad that you grew up watching too and got you through your darkest moments in life, because that's what WWE did for me. I would turn on and watch, a good storyline, a good, match. Oh, before I conclude, also with the whole female division, because WWE likes to nowadays because it's gone woke. Um, Also likes to push a lot of agendas. Nothing feels natural anymore. You know, uh, Take the female division. Like, what is the purpose of uh, female tag division? Because the male tag division is just as good right now, right? So the female one's gonna be 10 times better, right? No. What is the purpose of a female elimination chamber? It's not like we're gonna see them do anything risky or too high risk or anything like that. What is the purpose of a female Hell in a Cell match? It's not, yeah, because we're really gonna see the women dive off the top of the cell, right? Right, or do anything cool in that type of environment. No, we're not. It's just to push an agenda. Like everything nowadays is about, catering to the woke, modern, blue pillar audience. That's what it's about. I'm not saying, you know, back in the day, you know, you had women. Wouldn't say I wasn't, not saying I was the biggest fan of it myself, but they had women doing the whole bra and panty thing, and you know what? That's probably a better spot for them. Tell you the truth, just was. Sorry, not sorry. Nowadays, the females look like some of them look bigger than the men. Some of them look like they bench press as more than some of the men in WWE nowadays. Um, this is that Rhea Ripley chick. You can tell she's like the dominatrix of her relationship. Yeah, she's in one. But anyways, yeah, I'm just gonna end it here. I think I'm going on long enough. But yeah, WWE is just in a sad position. It pains me to see, and hopefully, well, what am I saying? Hopefully for it's never gonna get better. It's destroyed permanently, like everything else is nowadays. As always, I'm out.